Good afternoon and welcome. This is the Herndon Police Crime Prevention Council. I have Will and Joan, Kim, Dudley, and McGruff is an honorary member today for Public Safety Day. We are out here celebrating public safety. This is one of the things that the Crime Prevention Council does. We sponsor several events every year, and this is our biggest and hopefully the best, and we love the cooperation from the community. Everybody shows up from Fairfax County. Like this year, we have the bomb squad, the underwater rescue team, Fair Oaks Volunteer Fire Department, Fairfax County Fire Department. The Fairfax County Sheriff is here and a bunch of other vendors. They are all contributors to public safety, and we really appreciate their coming today.
Now, we're here with one of the town's two canine officers, Officer Brown. Tell us a little bit about your day and your dog.
Well, my dog's name is Jake. He actually lives with me at my house, so I take him home. So he's with me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. He lives at the house like a normal dog, basically. I have the kennel at the house for him, but he doesn't normally stay in the kennel. He actually stays inside my house most of the time.
He's almost like he's a pet. He's a family pet that works for you.
Yeah, at the house he definitely is a pet. He has a lot more freedom at the house because it's his break, basically. Just like I go home and I want to have a break and I don't want to deal with work stuff, it's the same thing with him. He definitely acts a lot different at the house. He's a lot more playful. When we have people come over to the house, once he gets to know you and knows that everything's okay, he wants to be pet just like any other dog and stuff like that. So he's really good at the house as well for, like you said, protection and stuff.
I hear him whimpering in the car there. He spends his day when he's working in the car?
Yeah, he stays in the car. I get him out as much as I can when I'm working just to get him stretched out, and I do training with him at night and stuff when I'm here because we go to training twice a month, but we still, all the canine guys work with their dogs, whether it's obedience or tracking or stuff like that during their shift as well. And then also when we get calls and stuff for building searches or alarms and narcotics stuff, I try to get them out as much as I can. So to get them out.
Does he specialize in certain searches, or he's sort of a general purpose dog?
He's a dual purpose dog. That's what they refer to the German Shepherds that we have. He does narcotic searches. So that could be narcotic searches on vehicles or buildings, or if somebody leaves a package out or something like that, he can find the narcotics in that. We also do building searches. So if we get an alarm call, the dog will go in and give him commands, and he'll check to see if anybody's in the building. We do that for houses and commercial businesses. We also do tracking. So if we get a burglary or a robbery or some other kind of crime that I can actually use the dog on, we go ahead and use the dog for that as well, for tracking. So that's where the dual purpose comes in, because he's for apprehension of suspects as well as narcotics, where some dogs are just bomb certified, some are narcotics only. So that's where we go from there.
Does he react to other officers the same as he would to you, or is...
He doesn't distinguish the difference between, he knows who I am as his handler. He doesn't necessarily listen to other officers or anything, which is what he's supposed to do. He's not supposed to listen to anybody else, just specifically what commands I give to him. But when we're on the scene, he knows the difference in the sense, because I get him around other officers. So he understands, well, that I recognize that person. But if we're doing a track or we're doing something else, he does know the difference when we're inside. And I give him commands that he knows to not go after the officer. And it's the same thing if somebody gives up on a track or a building search and they're like, oh, I give up and I don't want to, don't let your dog bite me. The dog has commands where I can just call him right back to me and he won't engage in the subject. So.
Now, he did not look like a big dog, but except for his teeth looked pretty fierce.
Yeah, he's got big teeth, big paws. But
how big is he? He's not a real big dog?
No, there's a very specific reason for that. He's actually from the Czech Republic, whereas most people are used to American dogs, or American German Shepherds, which are somewhere between 100 and 125 pounds, and they're bred to be just big dogs. The ones over in Europe are bred for endurance and speed, because getting in and out of the car and jumping up on stuff and the different activities that we do when it comes to work we want a lighter weight dog. It's easier too because if I have to pick him up or carry him, which are some of the things we train to, if I have to throw him up on top of something or I have to carry him over a fence for some reason, different things like that, it's a lot easier on me. He actually only weighs about 65 to 70 pounds, whereas like I said, the American ones that people are used to are the 100 to 125, but that just breaks down their joints a lot faster, and we just don't want that out here. We want the dog to be able to work as long as possible.
How long will he work? How long have you had him? How long will he work? And what happens? Where will he live when he retires?
I actually have had him for almost 2 years. January will be 2 years. He's going to be 3 years old though in November, so next month. And the dogs, if nothing happens to them, will basically live or not live, but be as a working dog between 6 to 7 years. Sometimes it's less. Sometimes it's 5 to 6. Just depends on the dog and the amount of activity that you have with the dog.
And then he'll retire with you.
Yeah. Well, yes. They retire with the handler. That's correct.
You said you didn't have him the first year. Is he trained to be a police dog and then trained with you?
No. The dogs come out what they call as green, which means they have no training whatsoever. They get shipped from whatever the country they're from Europe. They come to the kennels in the United States. He actually came from Connecticut, and I went and picked him up. And when I first picked him up, he literally was doing like barrel rolls on the ground and jumping all over the place. And I was like, what did I just get myself into? But the training is between 12 and 16 weeks. And that is for the obedience part of it, for the apprehension, for the tracking, narcotic searches, all that stuff. We train him, and now he's very controllable and listens to me. But it was one heck of a scene when he first came out, and they're like, "Oh, he's a really good dog," and I'm like, "What? What are you talking about? He's a really good dog. He's crazy." But he calmed down, and he's a good dog.
Well, he was a puppy.
No, you don't normally see puppies even doing the stuff that he was doing. So, but he's good now, so we're good.
Well, thanks so much.
Yeah, no problem. Appreciate that.
But I'm with the Virginia Department of Alcoholic Beverage Control, Bureau of Law Enforcement, and we enforce underage drinking laws, all alcohol laws, any laws with ABC-related licensees, whether it's a convenience store, a restaurant, anything of that sort.
Okay, Special Agent Anderson has given me some goggles that simulate I guess being inebriated, having too much to drink. And I've got the goggles on, and if you would take my hand, we won't. Thank you. And and lead me to the line. We're going to show the effects of alcohol.
What you're doing is these goggles represent about a 0.10 blood alcohol level, so this is just over the legal limit. And this will be the effects of possibly a DUI and what you might have to do. You're doing a good job.
Well, you know what? This is double vision. So I see two.
And that's
2 feet.
And when you're intoxicated, that's what it can look like. So these goggles are a good learning tool, especially for young kids, why you should not drink, especially get behind the wheel of a vehicle. If you can't walk right now, you definitely cannot drive.
Heck no. We're here at the Underwater Search and Recovery Vehicle Mobile Command Unit. Tell us who you are and a little bit about your group.
All right, I'm Tracy Sondheimer, and our group is Underwater Search and Recovery, and it's a non-standing unit within the Fairfax County Police Department, which means that the 15-man team that we have, all the officers on that team actually have a separate job within the county. I work patrol. We have EOD techs that are on the team. We have motor officers.
What is EOD?
A bomb squad.
Okay.
Explosives Ordnance Disposal Unit. And we have motor officers that are on this team. We have other officers that are in patrol. We have detectives. So those that are interested in this type of diving from within the county, police officers within the county, then come out and try out for the team. And when they get selected, then they're on the team. We train once a month, and then we're subject to call out for any of the types of events that might be needed for us, meaning body recovery or evidence recovery. Those are the two things that we do on this team. The people that have drowned will go in and recover their bodies. things that the suspects have thrown into the water. We've recovered guns, we've recovered knives, safes, vehicles, you name it, just about anything we've actually recovered within the lakes, streams, rivers, any type of body of water within Fairfax County. We also will help out with other jurisdictions if they call for a big case that they might have and need help because they're our smaller team and need some more divers to help out. We've assisted Prince William County, we've assisted Loudoun County with different operations that they have as well. So this truck is basically everything that we need in order to do an operation. This right here is our compressor system. It will fill our scuba tanks. Inside the truck are all the equipment for the divers as to what they would need. We have lift bags.
How do they?
Yes.
First of all, tell
Okay.
us how they're outfitted, and then we'll go on to the other pieces.
All right, sounds good. All the divers are outfitted in a dry suit, and also they have a BCD, which is a buoyancy compensation device.
That's sort of like a life jacket.
Yes, except that you can
Layman's
take the
version.
Yes, you can take the air out of it so you can sink underwater. With that is a scuba tank that's attached to it, as well as regulators, and the regulators are attached to the tank, which gives you the air to breathe underwater. We have what's called an AUGA mask or a full face mask, and that full face mask, not only are you breathing with it, but we also have communications in that full face mask. There's a microphone in there, and we also have earbuds as well that we can communicate with each other underwater, and we can also communicate from underwater to shore and shore to the divers underwater.
What do they typically carry with, or I guess it could depend on the operation, what kind of equipment other than their body equipment, what they would need?
They would have probably buoys, depending on what it is. So if we need to mark where the particular item is and show it on the surface, they would put a buoy next to the item and have the buoy go to the surface so that those on shore know where it is. The other things that we might have that would go underwater would be lift bags. So if we're recovering a vehicle, once we found the vehicle, then we need to bring bags down there. We attach the bags to the vehicle, we fill them with air, and that will bring the vehicle to the surface so that we can then get it to shore. Heavier items like a safe. I can't lift a safe by myself. I need some help. So the lift bag would be attached to a safe filled with air, and it would bring it to the surface, and then we can bring it to shore. Those types of things. We have an underwater metal detector. So usually for smaller items that we're looking for we would use that, depending on whether there's other metals that we know of underneath the water. Like if there's a lot of rebar, the metal detector is not going to work too well because it's going to hit on that. I'm trying to think of anything else that we've got. Any other questions?
No, that's fabulous. How often are your services needed?
We average about 4 to 5 calls a year. And that's an average because it depends on how active people are on the water and accidents that they might have. But it also is dependent too on how many bad guys have actually thrown stuff in the water that we know of and have to go search for the evidence.
How long, if somebody threw a gun or something small like that into Lake Ann, how long do you think it might take you to find it?
Depends on whether we know where did they stand. That's one of the things that we're going to ask them. How did they throw it? Did they throw it underhand? Did they throw it overhand? If we can get the person back out there, which is usually what we try to do, if they're being cooperative, we'll have them come out and we'll do like a test throw. We'll get an object like a rock or something like that that's similar in terms of weight as best as possible, and we'll have them throw it from where they stood and the way that they threw it to see kind of where it landed, and then we'll base our search pattern off of that, meaning we'll go to either side and front and back as well, and we'll search in that area. If we don't find it in that area, we may end up expanding that search some, or we may just decide that if we've searched as far as we possibly could have, as long as the bad guy's telling us the truth, then it's definitely not there. So then maybe he's lying to us and he threw it somewhere else, or we'll expand the search because it isn't in that area that he did his test throw on.
And how long did you train for your position?
I became a recreational scuba diver in 1994. I joined the team in 1997, and I took a 2-week class and then another 1-week class that they had sent me to on learning search patterns, on learning interviewing witnesses and suspects in terms of what we need to know in order to find what we're looking for. And then a lot of the training too that I did was on the job training. The instructors that were on the team, every time we came to training, you learned something new. You practiced your search patterns, you practiced your interviewing techniques. They went over those types of topics with us, which is what we continually do with the other officers that come on that are new to this type of diving.
Mm-hmm.
And we practice in black water because that is what we dive in.
Where would you? Oh, you don't have specifically black water. You just sort of jump in a black lake.
Well, we have most of the lakes around here. Because recreational diving, you're within the water column, meaning you're neutrally buoyant. So you're not on the bottom, you're not on the surface. You're kind of in the middle of it. So you're not stirring anything up. Our diving is on the bottom. So we basically consider ourselves bottom dwellers. But because of that, when we do our searches, we're stirring up all the silt and stuff that's on the bottom, which means that any visibility that we may have had, we now lose. So that's why I can consider black water diving is what we have. So that's where we practice in. We'll go to any of the lakes that are within the county. We practice our search patterns underwater where we're stirring up everything. If we get to some place and we actually have some visibility that we're actually looking for something, then what we try to do is kind of a float search. Like we'll stay on the surface of the water, see what we can see if we can find it just by looking at it if we've got that visibility down to the bottom. If not, then we start at the bottom and we start going through our search patterns that way. And most of the time, because we're on the bottom, we're searching with our hands, our feet, our knees, you name it. Every part of our body is used to search for the object that we're looking for.
That sounds like a fascinating job.
It is. It's not for everybody. You gotta be able to handle yourself with no visibility underwater.
No claustrophobia.
Exactly. No claustrophobia.
It's like it doesn't sound like something I would ever even attempt.
That depends. You've got people that are recreational scuba divers. They like to be able to see. I'm one. I love to be able to see, but I also enjoy doing this as well. It gives me a different aspect to the job that I do as patrol. So,
Thank you so much.
you're welcome.
Hi there. We're here with Home Depot. Gentlemen, tell us your names.
Richard Gallen.
Harry Glass.
Now, you've brought some things from Home Depot. You both work for Home Depot,
Yes,
correct? Yes. That will aid in the security of your home.
Well, okay. These products here are more like a DIY where all you have to do is like stick it on a window or stick it on a door, and the alarms go off or a light will go off.
Warning you that somebody's in the house.
Warning you somebody's in the house. We have children's safety devices so that kids can't stick their fingers in receptacles and get hurt. Or if they like to play with switches, you prevent them from playing with switches and stuff like that, or getting in the cabinets.
Now, I see you have an escape ladder. Should every home have an escape ladder? And how? Yeah, if you have at least 2 stories.
That's right, absolutely. Definitely a must-have. Most people avoid it or don't think of it, but when you need it, it needs to be there.
Right. I can't emphasize enough having a CO2 detector and smoke detectors. And the minute they go off, please get out of the house and let these people, fire and rescue, do their jobs.
Most people only have smoke and fire. We also carry carbon monoxide detection. You need all 3.
I suppose if you don't have gas in the house, you would need the carbon one, right?
No.
It depends. For instance, if you had a car in a parking garage underneath the home, that kind of situation where somebody left it running for whatever reason, it's just a good, safe way to go. And you got to have a plan. Whatever you do, have a plan for an emergency.
We're here with the Fairfax County Health Department Department of Environmental Health. Give us your names and tell us a little bit about what we're doing here.
I'm Carl Sivertson. I'm with the Environmental Health Office. And
I'm Ada Garcia. I'm with DC's Carrying Insects program as well.
We're here today. We're here just to educate people about mosquitoes and ticks and what they can do to prevent Lyme disease and West Nile virus. We also have
You're going to get a sticker
that we give out to the kids of all ages to help remind you of mosquitoes and ticks and how you can help prevent Lyme disease, a very devastating illness, especially out in western Fairfax County and then, of course, in Loudoun County. So
Tell us a little bit about how you do prevent it.
prevent it by wearing repellents, basically a DEET-based repellent. And the other thing is you want to be dressed properly with long sleeve shirts, long pants. Sometimes you won't want to tuck your pants into your socks. It's kind of nerdy looking, but it's better to be that way than be sick. And then when you get back from hiking or biking or doing some gardening, you want to do a tick check to make sure that you don't have one of these things that you see on your hand
Can you
here,
see that?
on your body. And if you do a tick check and you find a tick on yourself, bring it by the health department. We'll identify it for you. There's 4 different species of ticks in the county, 3 of which are not going to get you sick. 1 will get you sick if it's a deer tick. About 25% of those ticks we find have the bacterium that causes Lyme disease. So and it's 1 in 4 chances is not really good. You get bit by a deer tick. So we want people to be aware, go enjoy the outside, but then be safe when they're coming back home.
Now, I have a short story to tell, and maybe many years ago, my son had a mark on his back and a ring surrounding it. It looked almost like a spider bite. We didn't think anything of it. I had my annual checkup, and I happened to mention that week, and I happened to mention it to my doctor, who said he has Lyme disease. Go have it checked. So people should. There's physical evidence, and if you get it treated quickly, you should be okay. Correct?
Correct. And not all people get the rash, the bullseye rash that's always spoken of. And that's when you find the bullseye rash, that's a good thing because you have the indicators of Lyme disease. And then your doctor can treat it. And that's part of the reason why we offer that service about bringing your ticks in. And if it's an engorged deer tick, we encourage people to consult with their physician, and then they might get a preemptive treatment of the course of antibiotics to knock the potential for the illness to be taken out of their system. So it's so important, whether you're working in your yard or out on the Appalachian Trail, is to be aware of ticks, dress properly. And then when you come home, do yourself a favor and do a tick check, because I've seen the result of Lyme disease where people who are active and enthusiastic and fit, and suddenly it seems like they're with a walker or a cane, or they're unable to perform their normal functions they did, before their little outdoor escapade. So it's a big deal, and it's all preventable.
And now talk a little bit about West Nile virus.
Well, the good news is it's the middle of October, so that's coming down the home stretch, and the mosquito population is pretty much plummeting right now because of the weather, and it's a very seasonal problem. Is West Nile virus available in Fairfax County? Most certainly. We've had a high infection rate in the mosquito population throughout the summer. We've had some illnesses in the jurisdiction and throughout Northern Virginia. And what really touches close to home, one of my coworkers came down with West Nile virus last August. And he spent the next 5 months out of work. He was in the hospital, the induced coma. From an active senior citizen to one who, for a period of time, was in a wheelchair, then a walker and a quad cane, and now after 5 or 6 months, or after about a year, he's starting to get a lot more mobility back into his system. So you don't hear about it all the time, but it does happen, and it's devastating. It's a life changer or a life taker. There was 1 death in the county this year already, so it is a big deal. And then once again, it's a lot of prevention.
Now, is it any mosquito that can carry the virus, or only certain kinds?
Certain kinds of mosquitoes.
They all look the same to me.
Well, you got the little black and white ones that most people see around the house, and they're called the Asian tiger mosquito. They'll just drive you crazy. They're not going to transmit West Nile virus, but they will make your barbecue miserable. But they're all breeding around your house. The species that is the West Nile vector is in the Culex family, or Culex pippia and Culex restaurant. They like to bite birds more than they like to bite people, and we get in the way sometimes, and that's part of the problem. And usually in August, September is when the virus is at its peak, and that's where you find most incidents of the cases.
Oh, okay.
It's very, you can't say it's predictable, but that's been the pattern. Once again, it's a matter of wearing repellent when you're outside, and then being aware of your surroundings, and a lot of it is taking care of your property, eliminating standing water, at your house and encouraging your neighbors to do the same, because that'll just the control methods are the same whether it's Aedes species or a Kulik species, eliminating water sources.
Right.
And we do treat most of the storm drains around the county for mosquitoes, and that'll control the growth of them. So we're just happy that it's the end of October.
Yeah.
And but we'll be ready to go back in May once again with full array of services to make sure everything's going well.
I'm here with the Herndon.
The Herndon Police Citizen Support Team.
Give us your names, please.
I'm Ken Creeley. I'm the new president.
I'm George Lake. I'm the operations and training officer. I wear 2 hats.
Tell us a little bit about your organization. Who'd like to do the speaking?
Part of the support team is here as a second set of eyes and ears for the actual Herndon Police Station or Herndon Police Department. We're an organization that's involved in just purely citizens, and we go out on patrol. We help out in scenes. We help out sometimes in situations like this where we need to block off a street. Anything that doesn't involve me shooting someone, arresting someone, or anything in that sort that we can help out. Accident scene prevention to keep people off accident scenes, going out, just being that second set of eyes, someone that the normal citizen may not know that we're out there.
And there's specific training for this, and I understand you do the training?
I'm the training officer. I train all our new recruits. And as a team, we've been an integral part of the police department for over 35 years. We've been around a long time. We've seen the town grow, and we've sort of grown up with it. Right now we have about 14 people on the team, all volunteers. They've all been trained from how to patrol the streets to standing out in the middle of an intersection and directing traffic. And we all carry police radios 24/7. We see something, we call the dispatcher. The dispatcher sends a police officer to it, and we go on and look for something else.
What are the requirements to become part of your team?
You have to be 21 years of age, and that's it. There's no maximum. We have one member who's 92, and he doesn't go out on patrol much, but he's still active and does come to meetings, and he does his part. So, but training is, we spend a lot of time on the road. Like the first 2 nights, the candidate will ride with me. It's more for area familiarization with the town.
Do you have a police vehicle, or you use your own vehicles?
We use our own vehicles and our own gas, regardless of the price per gallon. You know where the Kmart shopping center, oh yeah, I know Kmart, but do you know what's behind the Kmart shopping center? No, never been back there. Well, you will be. And we do that with all our shopping centers. We hit all the places a normal citizen wouldn't go, and where a thief might try and break into the back door. We check all back doors, open windows. We might see a car with the windshield smashed out. We call that in. They come and investigate that. Graffiti on a power box, everything that goes on in town. Somebody staggering along the sidewalk, he might get a free ride down to Fairfax. So those are some of the things we do.
How often are you out on patrol? You out on patrol every night?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I didn't know. Go ahead.
That's up to the individual. You can come out for a half an hour, or you can come out, stay out all night if you like. It's up to the individual. Mostly on weekends. That's where we have most of our action. Friday nights, Saturday nights. And we, of course, respond to the annual Herndon Festival. That we do an 8-hour shift out on the street directing traffic on Thursday night, Friday night, all day Saturday, and all day Sunday. So that keeps us busy.
Well, this sounds fabulous. Are you always doing recruiting? What kind of recruiting events do you have? Are you always looking for new volunteers?
One of the biggest things that we've got going on right now is the Herndon Police Academy, not the Police Academy, but the Citizens Academy, where the citizens in the town of Herndon actually get to view what the police department does. The citizen support team does also get involved in that so that and that's one of our biggest recruiting. We're also out here on Public Safety Day trying to get the word out of who we are, what we do. You may see us out on bikes as well. We also have a bike team that goes out and rides around. So as far as recruiting, they can call a station, have them patch them into our direct extension. They can call me directly. As a new president, I take over. So by all means, there's multiple ways of contacting us. And we do just a quick interview with you, see if you're really interested, kind of explain what's going on. And then there's an application process that goes through the police department and everything as well.
Okay. And how do they reach you?
They can either, again, reach me at the station, or they can contact me on my cell. It's 703-798-0508. Please leave a message if you don't get me right away.
Great. Thanks for all your good work.
Just as an example of one thing we do, Thursday night we had a serious accident here in town. I guess it was about 4 o'clock. By 4:15, the lieutenant on the day shift had called my house and said, I need you on the street and anybody else you can find. So I responded to Herndon Parkway and Monroe Street, relieved the officer there and shut the whole street down. And no traffic involved. So that freed the officer up to go and help out with the accident scene. And I think we had 4 support team members out on that one to direct traffic away from the accident scene and let the police and the accident investigation team do their thing. So that is an example of a lot of things we get called out for. 2 o'clock in the morning is routine. We get called out for serious accidents, lost children, whatever. So, yeah, we save the town a lot of money by our volunteer work.
Oh, yeah. We're here with Officer Stapleton with the Town of Herndon Police Department. One of the things you're doing here today is car seat safety checks in vehicles. Tell us a little bit about the importance of that.
It's very important. The Herndon Police Department offers that service, child safety seat inspections, as well as installations through our traffic section, our motor section. If residents of the town of Herndon would like us to take a look at that, all that they would need to do is contact our traffic section at our number at 703-435-6846, and they can ask for Police Officer Stapleton. Basically, what we would do is a new parent or somebody that has a child seat, if they needed it to be inspected, they could make contact with me. They would come to the police department, and we could take a look, and we can do full installations. If people don't have them installed correctly, we would take a look and correct those mistakes. So that's the service that we offer town residents.
What is the most common thing you find installed incorrectly in a car seat?
The most common mistake that is made is that when a car seat is placed into a car, a parent has the belief that they could just place the safety belt and route it through correctly most of the time. But the biggest problem is unless you have that seat belt in the locking mode, meaning that you have to pull the seat belt completely out and then return it back to the back in, and it puts it into the locking mode.
Like when you're in the front seat and
Right.
it locks up on you.
Right. Normally, when the way it operates, if you have a sudden stop, the safety belt is designed to stop and prevent you from going forward, obviously. It works perfectly if you have a full-size adult in that situation. However, if we're locking a car seat in there, what happens when it's normally being driven around and it doesn't have that sudden stop, the seatbelt has a tendency to get out of place or move in the back seat or something like that. So that's why it's important to have the seatbelt in the locking mode. So that's typically the most common mistake. And when that's explained and it's installed properly, parents then know how to properly install their car seats.
I understand that there are different car seats for different ages, and they're placed differently in the vehicle. Let's go through infants, through toddlers, through children.
Mm-hmm. Typically what we see are new parents coming in because they don't have the experience of placing the car seats in their car. So most of the car seats that the police department sees and that I install are infant car seats, meaning that newborns or just recently born children. And what would we would place them in a rear-facing car seat. Rear-facing car seats nowadays are designed from preemies all the way up to 30 pounds, for example. The rule that we have, the National Institute of Traffic Safety, used to be you want a child in the rear-facing seat up to 12 months and 20 pounds before even considering moving them to a forward-facing seat. Nowadays, there's really not a predetermined 12 months and 20 pounds. Typically, they like to keep infants in a rear-facing car seat for as long as possible, even up to the age of 2.
Don't their feet get in the way? Where do they put their feet?
Children are very flexible. In European studies and studies that they've seen, they crisscross their feet. It does look uncomfortable, but children are very flexible. And the reason that rear-facing car seats are much safer is because on crash impacts, it really protects the necks and of children, because they really don't have neck muscles development as would you or I, or a normal person or normal citizen. So that's why we would do them in a rear-facing car seat. We would transition to a forward-facing car seat once that child exceeds either the weight limit or the height limit of the car seat, or they've met the standard where they feel that they should move to a forward-facing after maybe consulting with their pediatrician, or they're at 18 months or up to 2 years, then they could transition to a forward-facing car seat. They're called convertible type car seats. They're designed to kind of bridge that gap between an infant car seat to a booster car seat. Those car seats can range anywhere from 5 pounds up to 100 pounds. So they're a fairly large transition type seat. We design those seats obviously for children 18 months up to 8 years, and the way that they're installed is very similar to a rear-facing car seat. We use a latch system, which actually, if you look, if parents or citizens look in their car manuals, there's very detailed information as far as how to install it. There's a latch system which uses connections down in between the seats, and then you have the safety belt system which you route the safety belt through a prescribed position in the car seat, and then you connect it to the seatbelt buckle, and that's where you put the seatbelt into the locking mode. So that's what we would do with a convertible car seat, and it just depends on the size of the child, different manufacturers, positions of car seats. It's a matter of convenience for parents. Some parents like the peace of mind of keeping the car seat in the middle, because it's obviously the center of the vehicle, and if there's a side impact, they feel that that's the safest position. A lot of parents put them behind the passenger seat as a matter of convenience. Cars nowadays are designed with a lot of safety features and enhancements, side impact airbags, pillar side impacts, those types of things. So it has come a long way as far as safety mechanisms in today's cars. From the convertible car seat, we would then transition to a booster seat up to the age of 8 years old. And booster seats are nothing more than raises the child in the seat position so that the strap fits properly across the neck. Exactly. That's why they would use a booster seat. And from that point forward, they become they can transition to a normal safety belt position in the back seat of a vehicle.
Sounds fabulous. Do car seats last from one child to the other, or are there technologies where if you have a 5-year-old car seat, you should go get a new one, or you shouldn't buy a car seat at a yard sale, for instance?
Well, that's a great question. The recommendation is if the vehicle doesn't have any, or I'm sorry, the car seat doesn't have any defects, the usual lifespan of a car seat is typically 5 years, and that's what we've heard from manufacturers. However, car seats that are passed down from family member to family member, for example, are perfectly okay. The biggest thing we want to make sure of is that it's never been involved in an accident before, because you don't want to compromise the safety of the seats. So if there's never been an accident involved with the safety seat, it's perfectly okay as long as all the other devices of the equipment work fine. But that happens very often. So that's perfectly okay to use a seat.
Oh, good. And anybody who wants to get their car seat checked, you'd be happy to do it.
Yeah,
You're there.
That's why we have these safety days, as well as we offer it to town residents. And I'd be happy to do that today. We've had several people stop by. It's good that the community properly installs. It's kind of a thing for me when I see somebody that's driving down the street and you have somebody that's kind of wiggling out of a car seat. It's important to me because these kids really don't know the difference, and it's very important that they remain secured, because there's opportunity for them to get hurt. So it's an important practice for me.
We're here at the Fairfax County Bomb Squad, and I'm with Officer
Brian Cook.
and Officer.
Joe Clarkin.
Now, tell us a little bit. Well, let's work with this beautiful dog. Tell us a little bit about your dog.
Okay, who you have here is K9 Spicy. He is a dog that came from the ATF, trained by the ATF and given to Fairfax County. He's explosives trained in over 19,000 different odors. And he is a food reward dog, meaning the only time that he eats is when he's working. So
You don't feed him otherwise?
never eaten out of a bowl. The only time that he'll eat out of a bowl is when he retires. Currently, he's 8 years old. Hopefully, we'll get another year or two out of him. Then we like to give him a few years left of the good life. Let him retire and act like a normal dog, where he gets to eat out of a bowl and lay around and do what normal dogs do.
Does he live with you?
He does. He's a 24/7 companion. Everywhere I go, he goes.
He's beautiful. Actually, when I first came over here, and you can show my face, it's okay. He licked my face because I just had a donut. Yes.
Oh, that's the good part.
Yes. I have sticky stuff on my face. Oh, she has a question.
Can you tell me why does he have a badge?
He is an official officer of the department, so if anything does happen to him, then he would be treated just like an officer. A legal issue, if you were to come up and harm the dog, obviously then you would be charged with harming a police officer. So he is an official member of the department.
How often are you called, and does the dog get distracted ever?
Normally, we respond to anywhere from 200 to 300 calls a year. With the dogs, probably 20, 30 calls a year, mostly for bomb threats, schools, courthouse, things like that, businesses we'll respond to. And basically, the dog is used to clear the entire building rather quickly as opposed to people doing it and taking a longer duration.
Is he easily distracted? Like if somebody were to throw, a piece of steak, would he go for the steak or the donut?
Obviously, food reward, he is going to go for the food. Other dogs, other animals will distract him, and it's up to the handler to control that. For the scene that we go into, we make sure that there's no other distractions in there, that he's going to stray away from doing his job. He knows that the minute the food bag comes on, when he sees me get that out and put it on, he knows it's time to go to work. There's a command for him to go to work, and he will work until he finds what he's looking for.
He's very sweet and very gentle. I got to ask this, though. If there's no calls for you, do you take him out to training just so you can feed him?
Yes. As you can see, he's not missing any meals, kind of like me. We do train twice a day. I train him in the morning and I train him at night. That's if there's no other training going on for that day. If we do get called out and there's something that goes on where he gets a certain amount of food in him, I won't feed him that night. So it's a regulated amount of food. Reason being, it's a health reason. They require that he doesn't weigh 10% above or below the weight that he graduated from training. And it keeps his hips in check so that he doesn't have hip problems as he gets older, and his weight. Spicy, when he graduated, weighed 73 pounds. I've kept him at 70 pounds for the last 7 years.
And what breed of dog is this? Is this a Lab or a Rhodesian Ridgeback?
This is a Labrador. All of our explosive canines are Labradors. We like the Labrador for the fact that they're passive. We can be around crowds and people, and obviously we are. So we want a dog that's going to behave well around crowds.
Gotcha. Okay, well, thank you so much.
You're quite welcome.
Now, tell us a little bit about what you got going on here.
What we have here display is our static display of our robot, one of our robots that we have. We have the bomb suit.
Let's go on over and take a look at this stuff, Blake. You can tell us about the everything you got going here and what happens when you go out on a call.
Normally with the bomb suit, it weighs about 80 pounds of Kevlar.
Wow.
To include the helmet. It's blast related, so in other words, this will protect you going down to a range, and it'll protect you while you're standing over top of a device. As you can see, it's pretty cumbersome.
Yes.
Because this is the jacket, and then you got the pants.
Oh my.
So
how much does that weigh again?
80 pounds.
80 pounds.
So try wearing this in a 120-degree weather day. You lose a little weight. Then you got the helmet. As you can see, the visor is about 3/4 inch thick. This is protective, so people can't scratch it. So we can have a clear vision.
Clear plastic.
Clear plastic, yes, ma'am. And of course, you have your tunnel vision. So you've got to learn to practice. Your vision is working on it.
Why do you have tunnel vision?
Well, that's all you see is out of here.
Oh, okay.
So you've got this focus, and it's all you see.
Okay.
And it's got a cooling vest in it, so In the summertime, it's really hot. You can put on ice packs inside, but that only lasts for a certain amount of time. Then we have.
Let's move on down here. Come on down this way. It's a new toy?
This is what they call the Power Hawk. As you can see, it's got jaws, just like the fire department, the jaws of life. We use this for cutting into vehicles. And if there's a package in the car that we need to get into, we'll actually cut the door off to get the robot inside. It's operated by a robot. Everything's operated from inside the command center in here. So it's just like a TV screen. You got a joystick, and that's how it's operated. So it's a very valuable piece of equipment we just got. Then we have this is the old style x-ray machines. Like if you go to a dentist office, you get x-ray of your mouth. This is the old style. We've gone digital now. Everything's done by laptop. But this is the old style wet film, as they call it, where we can take a picture of a box. And then what we'll do is we'll take that picture, develop it, and we know exactly what's inside, so we know what to take care of, like the power source, to get that rid of, and then we diffuse the item.
Would you work in a secure room, or sometimes you don't have that luxury?
We just work right out of the truck.
Okay.
And we're out in the field. It could be outside, anywhere. Everything's here, operated in here.
Okay, let's take a look down at your robot. It says dog on it.
We named our robots because we go out and do a dog and pony show. So the pony's inside. Another robot who is larger than this one.
Oh, really? How much larger?
This one weighs about 300 pounds. The one inside weighs 450 pounds. And that's the workhorse. It's a lot slower, but it's a lot heavier, that's why. And these things operate just picking up items, moving things, opening cars, breaking windows. Everything's done remote because the officer, the bomb tech, is not actually down on scene. They're safely behind somewhere where they're using it that way.
So these robots will actually defuse the bomb if need be, or
actually defuse it by opening the package up. If you have a briefcase, it'll open it up and just hopefully disrupt everything that's inside without the officer going down and using hands.
what if there's something inside that shouldn't be open? It should just be diffused.
Well, we'll actually take it with the robotics, as you can see. Take the clamps, we'll pick it up and move it to a safe location and take it to the range where we'll disarm it that way.
How often do you get calls?
It's the same as about 300 calls a year. We work at the same time.
Oh, you do work in tandem?
Conjunction, right. We also work with SWAT. Every time that SWAT goes out, we roll with SWAT because we have a lot of stuff that they use.
Thanks so much, and thanks for the work you both do. Oh, there we go.
Thank you. And I also have a dog too, so.
Oh, you do?
Yes, Gracie.
And she's a Bob dog too?
Yes, ma'am. She's 8.5. She turned 9 in February.
And soon to be retired?
Well, they see how long it takes.
When they retire the dogs, they stay with you, right?
Yes, I've had her since she was 1 year old. We've been partnered up. And I don't have the only girl, so you can see what happens when the three males get together, and it's like romper room.
Officer Randalls, who is our vice president, is on the Herndon Police Department. She is our main contact and our main go-to person. We would encourage you to become volunteers if you want to help the community and get out and learn a bit about what goes on around here. The Crime Prevention Council exists for more than just the public displays and public events, but we also serve as an interface between the citizens of Herndon and the police department. We have a number of people who are a bit nervous about going to the police with a complaint. You can talk to any of us, and we have access to the police department, almost anybody at any time, and we'll get you an answer if you don't want to talk to them directly. So we serve as an interface as well as educating the public on a variety of things. Emergency preparedness, public safety today, drug control, how to take care of your kids, things of anything we can think of. If you have thoughts about a presentation that you would like to hear about, let one of us know. Contact Officer Randalls. Her information is on the Herndon Public webpage. Go to herndon-va.gov and look for public safety. We're listed there. And that's about it for me. I see it's clouding up, and I prefer sun on my face. Thank you very much.